Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure offering you this podcast on strategy management. The issue or the thinking is, what do we miss in our strategy management systems, processes that we have within our organizations? For many years, organizations have been driving strategy as, say, a key value driver, as a key value opportunity. But the statistics show that not all organizations are best in it. Statistics even say that only a minority of organizations are excellent in strategy execution. So with this, I mean, this brief conversation is on what could be done better. And I would like to introduce you or present you Manuel Reta. Manuel Reta is the Chief Strategy Management Curator within ReThinkingWorks. So he has been helping us to research, to understand what are the new, say, practices, opportunities, tools, thinkings around strategy management. Manuel Reta has an experience of over 30 years in the area of strategy and strategy management. And with this brings to the table for this conversation, I mean, all his experience, but also his latest research. We have put together with Manuel Reta and team also a new assessment on strategy management for you, perhaps after this conversation, to check and balance what opportunities you foresee or perceive within the organization as gaps or as practices that could be implemented. Manuel, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for having this conversation with us. Let me start with the first question and really to understand what has been changing. So the question is, how has strategy management evolved in the recent years, Manuel?
Thank you, Matthias. Well, I would say that the strategy management started formally as a discipline, as a management discipline in the early 1990s with the doctors Kaplan and Norton, with the introduction of the balanced scorecard concept. The first formal framework that tries to make sure that the good old strategy plans were actually executed. Because research showed at that moment in time that less than 10% of those strategy plans ever became a reality. So it all started there as a management discipline. I would say that the methodology had a lot of support or a lot of synergy with a previous methodologies which were in the area of project management. The project management methodology, Project Management Institute, existed since many years before that, but it was like a key pillar for the balanced scorecard. For sure, there's the side of the KPIs, but there's also the other very, very as important side, which is initiative and project selection and execution. So the concept of the balanced scorecard rapidly evolved with implementation in many companies all over the world. As a matter of fact, the second book of Drs. Kaplan and Norton was the strategy focused organization. So there, the shift moved from the tool, the balanced scorecard, to what you wanted to have in an organization, the management system of the organization itself, with focus in executing, having a great strategy and being able to execute that strategy. So there, the implementation of a balanced scorecard and strategy-focused organization concepts continued evolving over the years. Companies implemented this in many different ways. Some of them very successful. Some or many companies also would say that they tried to implement balanced scorecard, but it didn't work. But the experience of many other successful companies shows that the methodology works. It has to be implemented in the right way, and it has to be managed in the right way. Also, with the passing of time, it was evident that implemented a good strategy management methodology and seeing it as a project, the strategy focused organization, and then the execution premium book talks about the steps that you have to do to implement the methodology. But then it started, or it happened in many organizations, that after some time, that inertia started fading away. No, you finish the project of designing your strategy map, KPIs, the strategic initiatives, kind of worked well, no, but then something was missing when over time. No, so then it became evident that the concept of the Office of Strategy Management and the concept of the Strategy Management Officer became key. That was, or those were the processes that needed to be implemented, which were going to be operated in a continuous way that guaranteed that the strategy management methodology kept moving and kept improving. No, it's important to say that with this evolution of many years, and for sure all implementations, all companies that we have seen going through these processes, and also all the companies that were documented by the organization of Dr. Kaplan and Norton, the Hall of Fame companies in strategy execution, you can see that all implementations are different. All of them are tropicalized to the particular needs of the organization, and so it's like there's not a fixed strategy management methodology. For sure, also in those many years that have passed since, other you would say other methodologies have appeared, but I would say that more than other methodologies, it's methodologies that support or doing a different way or give different focus to some areas of the strategy management methodologies. For example, OKRs, no, it's a great methodology that focuses on the goals of the individuals and the teams, and more with a more dynamic way of setting targets, etc. So if you see and compare the balance scorecard old concept with the OKRs, you will see that there are a lot of overlaps, no, a lot of even synergies, and that there are quite a few areas that you say, okay, this methodology does this in this way, this other methodology does this in another way. But in any case, all, as I said, all implementations are different. So it's just a matter of how do you want to give emphasis to different aspects of the implementation. No, if you want to, you're more focused on analyzing performance evaluation, no, but having good performance evaluation for individuals and teams. You want to have your organization aligned. You have more of a challenge in managing your projects, no? So you go back to the Project Management Institute concepts with the Project Management Office, no, which is another discipline that comes together here. So we also saw or have seen methodologies, for example, the total alignment, no, which is also some ways to be for being able or more specific in how you do certain things of the methodology. For example, when you are cascading KPIs from an upper level to a lower level. So I would say that there's been a lot of evolution, let's say, within the sphere of Dr. Kaplan and Norton, let's say it that way. There have been other adaptations, other improvements, but at the end, everything should come together into organizations having a strategy management methodology, which you could say that, okay, does an organization need to have a strategy? Yes, no. Some organizations may be able to have a strategy plan updated every few years. Others, because of the industry characteristics, may have to do that almost permanently, be adapting the strategy. So, you will always have a strategy as a cornerstone of what's your best bet, your best hypothesis to achieve the results that you think that you can achieve in the medium term or long term even. No? So, and then for sure, you have that strategy, the capability of executing it. Well, it's kind of a logic, no? Why would you want to have a strategy that you are not able to execute? So the basic concepts of the need of having a strategy management methodology are as important as ever, no? And that those methodologies, those management systems go through KPIs, measuring things, and then also go through projects or initiatives, doing things to make sure that your KPIs achieve the targets that you want to reach are ever present. No. Also, another important change is the companies giving much more importance to environmental and society impacts. No, it's not only the main goal of the organization to maximize the financial results. It's now many companies balancing, no, the triple bottom concept that has been talked for a few years, which says, okay, companies should have strong financial results, but also have a strong impact in the environment and a strong impact in the society. So those elements become part of the strategy. It's not that you will have a different strategy or an alternate strategy. You just embed these concepts into the strategy that you want to execute. And another big change for sure has been the ever increasing role of technology. No, in the good old times, you know, the technology, the IT area was a very important habilitator, a very important foundation for the companies to be able to execute their strategy. But it was more, let's say, in the old times, just make sure that you have the computers, the telephones, and the printers running, no? But now that has evolved the technology to be like a key and integral part of not only being able to execute your strategy, but also of the strategy itself, no? So to close this, basically, you know, a lot of evolutions, but a lot of adaptations in the same way of having to have or wanting to have the better strategy and being able to execute it in the best possible way.
Great, Manuel. Fantastic. Manuel Reta, our thought leader in strategy and strategy management. Great way of presenting this enormous evolution that has happened and this enormous evolution that organizations have to incorporate into their management system. You mentioned new tools, the OKRs, the total alignment, and many other practices, even content, you know, ESG and so on, that have to be incorporated into, I mean, the strategy management system, the process, but also the content that goes with it. Manuel, a question to follow. Dr. Kaplan in the past spoke much about, say, is management ready for the system approach? And these days, we speak a lot about, say, AI, artificial intelligence, helping organizations to take decisions with data analytics, designing future scenarios, designing future outcomes, strategic outcomes. How do you see, I mean, how can new technologies as data analytics impact the strategy management process?
Yes, there's several factors that could be making a strategy management process not work properly. You know, it could be, you know, from flaws in the strategy design itself. You could have issues with the quality of the data, of the KPIs. So when you have your strategy review meetings, executives lose confidence in the data that they are seeing. You could have issues with how the strategy was cascaded throughout the organization. So you don't have an aligned team and an aligned workforce. You could have issues with not linking your strategy management process to project management, to your project management practices. So you are not being efficient in defining your portfolio of projects and executing those projects. You could have issues with budgeting, that you have a budgeting process that is independent of the strategy process, or you could have even, for sure, change management issues, no? That, you know, you don't have a full commitment of your executives and your workforce because of soft side issues. No, so what we offer at ReThinkingWorks is, first of all, an assessment of what is the current status of your strategy management practices, and from that assessment, the definition of a roadmap to define the actions, the initiatives that the organizations should do in order to have the best possible strategy management system. And there, in that definition of that roadmap of improvements, that's where your question on how does technology can support the strategy management processes. So in that sense, for example, for sure you should have much better quality in your data, because of the progresses in technology. You should for sure have, with the capabilities of big data, data analytics, data lakes, etc., have the possibility of doing much better analysis and understanding why things happened based on historical data. So you could use AI, for example, for suggesting corrective actions, for analyzing the causes of not reaching a target in certain KPI, also for being much more flexible in doing scenario planning on a more frequent basis, and let's say in an easier and more reliable way. So the fact here is that when we design that roadmap based on the assessment that we did on strategy management practice, that's where we incorporate technology. So the roadmap, or by executing the roadmap that we design, the company will have the best possible strategy management process, not only according to the way it was designed to work originally, but also improved because it will be using as long in the way that it makes sense to the organization, technology as much as possible. So we have this assessment which incorporates technology practices, and we think that that's the way for many organizations to have a quick understanding of where they stand and understanding what they have to do in order to improve their strategy management practices.
Thank you, Manuel. I mean, you make it so simple, so easy, so simple to understand. I mean, we all speak about AI these days, and you speak about, say, the historical data, making sense of the historical data, understanding the rules and perhaps the outcomes and why these outcomes have happened, strategic outcomes out of the past, but also how to design with the use of algorithms future scenarios so that management can really, as you put it, understand them and perhaps proactively mitigate risks or really harvest all the opportunities that are presented in our future, or the future of our organizations. Dashboards can for sure help a lot to make this all very transparent and to push and to say stimulate management through dashboards to take decisions regarding not only the past but the future. Now, Manuel, when we think about, all these advances, all these practices, data, the possibility of managing and using data to take good decisions, how do you see, the organizations challenge to incorporate all of this into their management system? What can organizations do to improve their strategy management practice, Manuel?
Well, I think that many organizations, or we have seen that many organizations, and I think I mentioned it before, have had some sort of a strategy management project, and many of them were able to get this going as a management practice. And we see that many of those efforts have faded away, So, with time, new executives coming, new things, like, we see that many companies have lost a little bit of the traction on that. So I think that we can for sure, and we have, as you mentioned, prepared in ReThinkingWorks assessments, and we have put together or tried to incorporate or have a strategy management methodology defined for today, no, actual for these times, and I would say that it's doing an assessment of where you stand today in your strategy management methodology, what we can call a maturity scan of your strategy management model, and where many companies might be incorporating technology to their processes, but not necessarily technology to their strategy management process. So I think that we at ReThinkingWorks have for sure always try to put together or try to incorporate these other disciplines or these other practices within strategy management, always with the mindset that every implementation is different. So different companies need different levels of depth, no, or detail in how they do things. But for sure, a good first step will be to do an assessment, a maturity scan, and for sure see how the new technologies can, together with improving what may have lost a little bit of traction, how the technology can come into the picture and make sure that these strategy management methodologies are reinforced, no, to have a new momentum, and for sure, and given that most industries have suffered this constant or more frequent change, to be very clear that the methodologies have to be also very agile, no, that they have to be very flexible, that they have to be able to adopt, no, maybe few industries still will say, okay, let's do a 5-year strategy plan and then review it in 5 years, no? That may not happen anymore, no? You will have to have your strategy updated in an agile way, but also the execution be agile, no? So keep this combination of having more information, no, but at the same time needing having to digest it in an effective way to be more agile to execute, no? So, but yes, coming back to your original question, I think that we have put together, the methodology of today in strategy management, no? And also as a first step and an assessment for organizations that can see where they stand and what will be a roadmap for reinforcing and getting back in traction their strategy management and practices.
Great, Manuel. So even though the statistics show that many organizations have still big issues in implementing and harvesting all the value out of strategies, what you just presented to us is a little bit as you put it, the roadmap, to understand the gaps, understand the opportunities, understand the opportunity suggestions within an assessment as the one you and our team has put together for strategy management. So I want to thank you so much for this interview. I want to remember all those that are participating and that will be seeing this video, that ReThinkingWorks has not only a center of excellence for strategy management, Manuel Reta is our head of all the strategy management curation, but also a global team, not only located in several geographies, but also with looking into different practices, different industries, different sectors, and how within these sectors to apply, say, new concepts, new, say, practices in strategy management. So once more, Manuel, thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you, Matthias.